Part of living the American dream is not only loving where you live, but also loving where your children go to school. I'm Keri Shull with the Keri Shull Team, and today I'm here with Trevor Waddington, the principal of the TYW Education Group. So Trevor, you've been in this industry for over 17 years, and one of the hot topics is private or public school. So can you tell us what impacts a parent's decision?
Sure. Well, I think the first thing is location and the ability to afford private or independent schools. Independent school tuitions have gone up quite a bit over the last 5 to 10 years, making it more difficult and tougher to access for parents. So that is a major factor in the decision. Another big factor is the needs of your child. If your child has special needs, if your child is gifted, a lot of times those families look for educational outlets that are able to work with their children's needs.
So your role is to actually identify all of a family's needs and then help them find the right school, be it public or private, for their family.
Right.
So if you're advising people throughout the country that are trying to do their own research and their own diligence and aren't in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area and able to work with you, what questions should they be asking when they're identifying the right school for their children?
That's a great question. If they're able to move into a neighborhood that they want, obviously they want to look for a school that has, the amenities that they're looking for, the support if needed. If diversity is important to them, they can find the statistics on that. Class size is also often very important. What sports and what arts are or are not accessible to the students. Obviously that becomes a lot more easier when you're looking for independent schools, because you've got a lot of different kinds of independent schools that serve different kinds of students, and much of that information you can find on their website. What I like to do is help them through that process, through the expert school match, that really helps hone in on what type of education might be best for their child.
So when parents are deciding between public and private schools, what are some of the factors that play into that decision?
Well, the factors that go into choosing between public and private are typically very personal for families. Obviously, affordability is a major factor in choosing between public and private. A student's needs, accessibility to those schools, and the simple geography of it. I think one of the bigger pieces that kind of goes into that is what the parents know. If a parent was an independent school student or a public school student, and they turned out, okay, they often feel that
we all hope that we feel that we're okay when we're making this choice, right?
True. That it's a viable option for their child as well.
Okay, so they like what they're comfortable with. And for yourself, if you have children, so if you were trying to find the right school for your children, what are the things that you would focus on?
That's a really good question. That's something my wife and I have discussed a lot, because I'm in, the arena that I'm in, is what kind of environment would be best for my daughters. And what we've found, and what a lot of families find, is that what's right for one student or what's right for one of their children isn't necessarily right for the other child.
Sure.
And yet a lot of times they'll put them in the same environment, where you see one is excelling where the other is struggling, where in a different environment, the one who's struggling here could certainly be very successful in another place.
So as a parent, how do you go about solving that problem?
Well, again, it goes back to the ability to put a child in an environment that's going to work best for them. Some of the public schools in this area, some of the great public schools, are definitely known for their offerings, either in the arts or are more sports oriented, have a more of a STEM component to their school.
What's a STEM component?
STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math.
Okay.
And it's sort of evolved into STEAM, which includes the arts.
Okay.
So a lot of hands-on engineering, a lot of predictive modeling as to what the next generation of jobs are going to be, and trying to provide students with skills to match those jobs in the future.
Wow, that's fascinating. I didn't even realize that was a factor in how educational systems plan.
They
Very
do,
cool.
and it's great because they're becoming a lot more knowledgeable about what skills students are going to need, whether it's independent schools or public schools, what these students are going to need to be successful in the next 10 to 15 years. And having the ability to do that really attracts certain families to certain school districts or counties or specific schools within those counties.
Okay. So I've heard that a common thing when a family is evaluating whether they're relocating or they have a child that's moving into another school or a child that has a need, right? When they go to interview a principal or a school, what questions would you encourage them to ask?
I think it really does differ between public and private. If you're going into a public school, I'd certainly want to know what the class size is. What the boy-girl ratio is, what the diversity statistics look like for the school, and the accessibility of the parents. For how often am I able to speak to a teacher or to an administrator?
Sure.
I would ask those same exact questions to a private school. For private school, it may be a little bit different because you're understanding the different models of independent education, whether you're talking about Montessori or progressive, Reggio Emilia. And then you have sort of the religious breakdowns of Jewish, Catholic, Muslim, or others. What are the tenets of those educational principles, and how could it benefit my child?
Okay, that makes sense. And you mentioned different types of schools or philosophies. Montessori is one that's coming up a lot lately. Tell me what Montessori is.
I wish I could sort of get a full grasp on it too, because in different places it's different things. In my estimation, if you want to break it down, it's really allowing the students to, find what joys they have in learning and the ability to explore those in a more independent way, where the classroom is more of a student-centered classroom than a teacher-centered classroom, where it's more task-oriented based on the teachers telling a student what to do.
Well, Trevor, thank you so much for joining us today. And for those of you out there, we hope you and your children are living the American dream.